Now let's look at dial-on-demand routing, or DDR. We'll use DDR when your company has small amounts of data that you'll need to transmit and when you have periodic connections. There are 5 basic steps that take place with DDR. Let's look at those. The first thing that takes place in DDR operation, or generic DDR operation, is that when a packet is sent from this PC to your router, the first thing, of course, that happens is the packet arrives and the route to the destination is determined. So, determining the route itself. Secondly, the question is asked, is this packet an interesting packet? What that means is, do we want to bring the link up across the network because of this packet? Is this packet one that we'll need to route? Is this an interesting packet? Third thing that takes place is the dialer information is looked up. Dialer info. If we've determined that the packet is an interesting packet or a packet that should bring the link up or should be transmitted, then that's when dialer information will be looked up. And then, of course, the link will be brought up when the number is dialed. So dialer info and dial. And then the traffic will be transmitted. Traffic is transmitted. And then fifth, after all the traffic has been transmitted, the call is terminated. Now, in configuring DDR, it's important to note that these first 3 items right here must be configured and must be set up properly so that DDR operation will take place. In order to set up this first one right here, we'll define static routes. We'll define a static route. So that's our first step in configuring right there. The second step in configuring DDR would be to specify what is interesting traffic. You can specify what's interesting traffic simply by saying, well, all IP packets can be sent through, or you can specify particular types of IP traffic that would bring the link up using access lists. Now, you define the static route and then you specify interesting traffic, and this is done with what's called a dialer list. A dialer list. And then, thirdly, we specify dialer information. What number will we dial when interesting traffic needs to transmit? This is what we call dialer information, or a dialer map. Dialer map. So the 3 things that we'll configure when configuring dial-on-demand routing, or DDR, would be static routes. You remember those static route commands: IP route, the network, the mask, and the next hop. Those are static routes. That's the first step. Secondly, you'll configure a dialer list, which specifies interesting traffic. That dialer list can be associated with an access list to specify the specific traffic that you want, or you can simply say all IP traffic can bring the link up. And then thirdly, you'll set up the phone numbers that would bring up particular links. That's your dialer information. That's set up with a dialer map. So that's a basic look at dial-on-demand routing. Remember, we'll use dial-on-demand routing when we're needing periodic connections and we're only needing to transmit small amounts of data. Dial-on-demand routing would not be an ideal situation if your network is needing an always-up connection.